All right, welcome everyone. Today we are joined by Clint Balser, and he went to this recent event in Arizona, and he was gracious enough to provide some footage that he filmed. So thanks for giving us the footage to share, Clint, and welcome to the channel.
Thanks, Steve. My pleasure to be able to offer some of this and help you out with what I experienced.
Okay, so I'm going to get this thing rolling. So this has no sound because we took out the sound so we can talk over it. So Clint, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you find out about Aptera and what drew you to Aptera, that kind of stuff?
Okay, very good. I am somebody who's very interested in environmental impact and the EV growth, and so probably about 3 years ago, we bought our first electric vehicle. We do have a Tesla Model Y. We were loving that, excited about what it does, and got used to the transition and not needing to go to the gas stations, et cetera. So we actually did go ahead and take a stab at a second vehicle. So we have a Model 3 as well. And wonderful vehicles, but I just think that this is a great concept idea, especially maybe for only some purposes versus every purpose. But a great commuter car, a great car to go hiking and going up into the hills where you wouldn't have to be worried about your battery quantity because you're going to be actually gaining some. Can imagine camping overnight and actually gaining power. That'd be wonderful. So my wife and I got interested in this about 2022, I guess, is when I did put in my reservation for one. So I
Okay.
have had one for a while as a reservation.
Are you an investor as well, or you held off on that wisely, probably?
Yes, we kind of did things out of order, but
Uh,
we did decide that we were comfortable enough that we knew the investment was going to be a bumpy ride probably. But
okay.
we did invest as well, which is awesome because then that just kind of bumped us up to when production begins, we will be qualifying for a launch edition.
Okay, so you're an accelerator.
Not an accelerator though. I got into the second phase,
Okay.
I believe it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
the
So
second like after the accelerators.
exactly. When they were really closing up their crowdfunding, we
Got
finally
it.
decided to do it. Yeah.
Got it. So, but you went into the investment with your eyes wide open. You knew it was
Yeah.
risky and you could
Yeah.
potentially lose it all and all that stuff.
Exactly. I'm
Okay.
following a lot and reading what others worry about, but we
Uh,
were well aware that it was going to do something like it's been doing, and that if things go well into production, it'll finally adjust probably. But we knew that this amount, whatever happened to it, we'd be okay.
okay.
And that's what I'd recommend for anyone. No advice on investments, but
Yeah.
over investing is always dangerous.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, yeah. Perfect. Okay. So let's talk about this little event. Where was it and did you have to drive far to get to it?
We actually had to fly to get to it.
Oh, okay.
Um, it was in Scottsdale, Arizona, and in fact, I had gotten several emails from Aptera and hadn't even told my wife at first because it's such a distance and we have all kinds of other things going. I thought there'd be no way we'd do this, but as soon as I did mention her, she reminded me that we have a friend down there, so we were able to stay with her friend. And that helped us a little bit with the accommodations. But we're just both pretty excited to actually see it. It's a big difference between seeing their websites, seeing YouTube videos, etc., and be able to sit in it. So, and I was well aware that it might come closer to an area for us and we could drive there.
Mhm.
But this was just a fun vacation. We've both recently retired, so we're kind of looking for little vacations to enjoy things too. So it worked out great. We are from the Quad Cities, which is the Illinois, Iowa, where the river bends, the Mississippi bends right in that area. So
Okay.
it's
I'm
a bit
going to
of a
back
trip.
up here a little bit to the beginning because I noticed that we missed a little bit of the hatch. So tell us, well, it looks like there's a decent number of people. How many people do you think there were there?
Oh, I actually did read a post from Aptera, and they're celebrating that it was somewhere in the number of 500, around
Did,
500 people.
does that sound about right to you?
Yes. The thing
Okay.
that was impressive to us is with the Eventbrite ticket, it doesn't give you complete information. So we were kind of doing some guesswork on, is this something we want to be there all day for? Because it began at 2 p.m. And then drives in the vehicle were going to start at 6 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
So we decided to have a late lunch and get there a little later. But
Uh-huh.
then talking with others, it opened and the line was full the entire time. So when
O-
we got there, it was a long line, but from what I understand from the very beginning, it also was a good line.
Okay.
Not too bad a line. I mean, we probably had to wait 30 minutes or so to be able to sit in it. So
Okay.
not a problem, but a good turnout.
Okay. Because it looks like there's like what, 30 people that I see on this on the video here.
Yeah. And I think that's just kind of the way it kept all day. Reminding you, there was also an inside. Um, we did participate in the inside for just a small amount. I think it was under $30 a ticket. You could go inside, have time to have conversation with Chris Anthony. And so that was something that was elective. It was a free event, but if you
Mhm.
wanted to, you could go inside. So there's some people inside all the time as well as people in line.
I see. All right. So like tell us what you thought when you first saw this thing. Eh,
Well, it is more attractive and more complete than I expected. It's kind of a interesting road to travel on, no pun intended. But as you're trying to support this company and root for it, you really do wonder, when is it going to be able to go into production? Will it ever go into production? You know, how much progress are they making? But we were able to, you know, really, you might notice in the video, some people are really tapping and beating and touching every little part of it and trying to check out the materials.
mhm.
We were allowed to do all of that. We were time and time again met by employees if we had questions, and we were able to talk about some of the items being non-production tooling yet. So, you know, we noticed some things were printed in 3D printers, and they said that's just to keep our costs down. We're excited to get to the next step, but the license plate holder was a good example of one. We all noticed it was a little bit simple and flimsy until it snapped onto the magnet, and it was great. But right away, it was explained that that is, of course, pre-production. It'll be fine.
Mm. And I notice here people are playing with the UI. Did you get a chance to play with the UI? Any thoughts about it?
Yeah, the UI is something I think is really exciting because there are still, you know, a couple items they're going to need to continue to work on, but that UI is workable and live. We were able to play around with their technique on opening the windows, check out how much the solar panels are accumulating, and that was exciting because they're sitting in the shade of the building. So that vehicle the whole time was in shade, and yet it was showing the amount of wattage that was still acquiring, which was nice to think about.
Okay. So the UI was fully functional and was working the vehicle. It was like connected to the vehicle. It was not just a dummy UI.
Yeah. For example, as I was kind of sitting in the passenger seat, Chris McCammon, is it?
Yeah.
He was popping into the driver's seat just for a second. He said, I just, excuse me, but I need to turn off the AC for a while because the AC kicked on. So, yep, he worked with the HVAC system. It worked great. We tried out windows, turn signals. Trying to think. The only thing that I'm pretty aware of is I don't believe they have the whole choice or functionality yet to connect the phone to CarPlay or Android Auto. So
Okay.
that isn't going yet, I don't believe.
But like
Um,
the HVAC was working
yeah.
and the lights worked
Yep.
and the solar was working.
Yeah. And they had solar on all parts, solar on the back tailgate,
Uh-huh.
in the dash, etc. The other thing that I did notice, and I have watched that this was a thing, so I wasn't surprised, but they still don't have the rear view camera
Oh,
connected
okay.
and functional yet. That is still not functional, but
I see. I see.
that's about the only part I noticed that really wasn't a functional item that should be functioning.
Okay. So I see here it's like it's generating about 27 watts in the shade. So not
In
a
the shade.
lot, but it is
Right.
generating something.
Yep. And it's definitely was shaded. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
not bad.
Okay. And so you drive a Tesla, and
Hmm.
so you're kind of familiar with the whole touchscreen interface. What were your impressions of like? this interface versus like the Tesla interface?
Well, of course, I think this is a good thing too, but there was far less to migrate through in the menus. There were still several tabs for the menu, and they
Uh-huh.
had things that you would want, but it wasn't just a UI show. There was not a billion different options, and there were, I think, pretty close to the options I'd expect, though. If I put some more thought to it after a second visit, I might think of some things it doesn't currently have. But for now,
Sure.
thought it's pretty good for for an opening UI. I was very impressed.
Okay. Yeah. From what I see from people playing with it, it looks pretty intuitive
Yep.
and not too complicated. The Tesla interface, I finally got some time with it because my parents just bought a Model Y,
Yeah.
and it works. It's not as intuitive for me as I would have
No.
thought, and there is a lot. There's a lot of complexity in like you have to go through a couple of menus to get at things. But
Yes. For
obviously, it has a lot more features too, so you have to like kind of get that in there somehow.
exactly what I was going to mention is it gives you more choices, but then it is sometimes almost overkill. Especially my concept of this is I would love this vehicle to just be kind of a simple vehicle, like a commuter vehicle, or
Yeah.
you hop in it to go to the grocery store, etc.
Uh,
I don't think you're going to need a lot of complexity, even if you do want to take advantage of it on the longer trips, I guess. But I think most of my menu use and the longer trips would be something like CarPlay at that
yeah.
point. So, and they're going to get that figured out, I'm sure.
Also, you're giving us a view of the undercarriage here, and
Yeah, that's where I thought that was fun to just show some materials they're using.
yeah, and I actually like this Aptera logo on the back grill.
Yes.
I'm hoping they keep it. They're saying that that like it doesn't need a logo, but I think they should keep it. I think it looks good, and
Yep.
people are gonna want to know what it is, and they're gonna need to Google something. And
I
so having
agree.
Aptera on there is gonna be helpful. Now, I see that the rear lights are doing this blinky thing. That's just a camera artifact, right?
Yes, that's just a frame rate, the different frame rate from the camera to the lights. So
Right. Okay. So it's like a solid light when you were looking at it with
they were
your eyes.
solid.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. We had a little conversation about how the small light by the license plate is required by laws. Um, I forget the term for this. It's a a cycle, tricycle or something.
Right. It's an
It's
auto
licensed that way.
cycle.
Auto
Yeah.
cycle. Thank you.
Right. So it has to be illuminated to a
Yes.
certain amount. And it's a very
Yeah.
specific amount that it has to be illuminated. I
Very
remember
interesting.
talking to Jason Hill about that. He said, yeah, there's like, it has to be a certain brightness and a certain
Yep.
amount of coverage. And this is like the smallest thing that would allow them to do that or something like that.
And that totally makes sense. It really just seemed like it wasn't a big problem to have that little light over there. And of
Uh,
course, you're going to need it. So, and it is a wonderful engineering idea to have that hinged license plate that swerves over. It's
uh,
really a nice way to hide the charging panel, I think.
yeah. Yeah. It's kind of kill two birds with one stone kind of bit.
Exactly. You might have also noticed in the video footage that I had learned somewhat recently that there is somewhat of a sub trunk, not quite like a Tesla sub trunk, but back there's a sub trunk. So I opened that
Right.
up. And then there are nice D rings. So if you were starting to carry cargo, you would be able to strap that down with D rings and check those out. And those were really impressive that they are embedded in there. Nice, stable D rings, not some simple, inexpensive little piece of hardware. It felt substantial.
Yeah, when I saw the original, the first version of these at CES,
Yep.
the carpet in the back was like mounding up and not flat and
Yep.
didn't look great, but this looks way better.
I think so. Did you notice how they have it kind of hemmed often? That
Right.
sub trunk has a nice little hemmed edge. And I thought
Yeah,
that's going to stand up a little longer, I think. So,
right. And then, at CES, the UI was just a dummy UI. It
oh,
just
yeah.
it didn't work anything. It just kind of and it wasn't fully functional. You couldn't even navigate too much of it either.
Yeah. So
So
exciting to
so
see that there's that growth.
yeah, they're definitely doing that. I think this is the gentleman. This guy, I don't know how tall he is, but when he gets out of this thing, he looks very tall.
He is very tall.
Like I
I,
would say over 6'6".
yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I had some conversation with Will, one of the employees, and finally said, "What do you guys feel is probably a height limit. You know, when are people going to be uncomfortable? And that was what Will said was somewhere probably about 6'6" to 6'8" or so is going to
Uh-huh.
be a little uncomfortable for them. He fit in and he was okay. And we
Uh-huh.
talked about how they have plans to even lower the seats slightly and get them just a little bit farther back.
Uh-huh.
But his knees were near the steering wheel, and the
Yeah, I
steering
see
wheel,
he's like basically spreading his knees to fit the
yeah,
steering wheel in between. But yeah, I was
yeah,
impressed that he fit in there because when I saw him stand up, I was like, this is a really tall guy. Like
he
he's
was
like
very
towering
tall.
over the other guys
He's
there.
he's up above the awning, as you can see.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so yeah, he was a really
Yeah,
tall
the
guy.
other guys are like shoulder high on him basically.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
he's
so I
I,
thought when he got in there, that proves that most people can get
right.
in.
And you see this guy's knees are very comfortable in the
Yeah.
frame here.
Yep.
Um, so yeah,
So it really does
impressive that
depend.
they can fit him that he can even fit in there.
Yeah. So it literally could come down to even are you you know, your upper torso or lower torso kind of height too. So, but
And the rear hatch is still the plastic hatch, the composite hatch, or is it glass? Do you remember?
I I would only say what I thought it looked like, and it looked like it was now glass. It looked exactly like the top of the
Okay.
vehicle now. It's composite underneath, obviously, you know, it's composite shell, but it looked like they had full solar panels that were encased in glass at that point, but I
Yeah.
couldn't
I was
tell you that.
noticing this guy, I'm gonna go back a little bit. This guy's trying the knock knock feature, and
Yes.
it's not working for him.
Yep.
And it seems like you have to do it slower or something.
You do. So
Because I
that's
know
what was being taught to him. And then he said, go ahead and try it again.
uh,
Yeah. It had
so
to be
it's
in the right spot and slower.
yeah, slower. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking it might be a cool thing, or I don't know if this would be annoying, is to have like a secret knock that's for
Yes.
your thing that like not it's like a certain pattern, like knock, 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 or like a certain
Yep.
pattern that would be
That'd be
specific
cool.
to your Aptera. That'd be kind of fun to have
Almost how
us.
you could sometimes program keys or something. You could
Right,
program your own knock. That'd be good.
right. It'd be funny.
Yeah, it
Um,
worked well when people understood where to knock and what rate. Like we did it on the tailgate quite a few times too, and I was surprised. It was like flawless on the tailgate. Anybody that tried it, as long as they knew where to knock,
uh,
they got it every time. So it was successful, which was impressive to me. I thought sometimes people just wouldn't knock quite right, like that gentleman, but he just was in the wrong place and too fast.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And are were these like 3D printed parts as well? Like these parts,
Yep.
did they okay, those were 3D printed parts.
Yep, Chris explained that too. He said there are some up in the cabin that are still 3D printed parts. And he says just because when we do start to spend money, we're going to have to spend it for tooling machines and they're outrageous, of course, you know. So,
Uh,
yep. But he said it's
now
really down to just a couple of those things, like a couple of cabin parts and that license plate.
what did you feel like when you sat in the driver's seat? Did you like how did you feel about comfort, visibility, ergonomics, that kind of thing?
I'm glad you asked that because both my wife and I, when we first looked in it, these seats don't look very plush or comfortable. They're fairly flat. You probably experienced that, but as soon as I sat in them, I was pleasantly surprised. I would probably say that you may get a little uncomfortable if you're doing really a 300 or 400 mile ride somewhere, but definitely for most of the times I want to use this vehicle, I wouldn't even notice a discomfort or comfort, I don't think. Had good space, had enough cushion and comfort to the shape of the seat. So right away, I kind of felt more at home than I thought I was going to.
Hmm. How about the visibility?
The visibility. Visibility would probably be the one thing that makes me a little apprehensive or nervous is just because of that split window. The
Uh-huh.
split window hits most people right at eye line, and it's a little
Hmm.
bit thick. You know,
Yeah.
that black secondary line that's holding the upper window.
Uh-huh.
But you know, they have the nice left-right turn signal or cameras right there above your steering wheel, and I think people just have to get used to really utilizing those a lot
Right.
and their
And
and the rear view when comes in.
yeah, and moving your head a little bit up and a little bit down to get
Yep,
around that blind spot.
yep, yep.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
like, what was the vibe there? Like, were the people there, were they people that all like knew about the Aptera for a while and were coming?
I think
Or were
most
there
because of
people that
course,
were just like, oh, what is this thing? And like, what is this thing? I don't even know what it is. And I just stopped by to look at it.
yeah, I think most people were answering the invitation. So most people were early launch edition members or investors, for the most part, I would say. It seemed like, um, not to knock myself and others, but it seemed like it was a older crowd, just to be
Yeah.
honest,
Yep.
which I think those are probably some of those individuals that will be the early adopters, investors to try to get this moving.
Yep.
Uh, but I'd love to see some youthful people because I can imagine what some, younger people would love to do with this too. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think if you look at the demographic of who watches my channel, it is mostly older men.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that is the demographic. I think because that's the group that has the time and the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like a lot of retirees were there, I'm sure. My wife
yeah,
and I just recently have become that, but we noticed that it was, especially when it's from 2 to 6 p.m. and people are mingling around. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And also like as a two-door, two-person vehicle, it's
Yeah.
not really a family car.
Right.
It
Very
would be a
good point.
great like second car as the commuter car
Yep.
for a family, but it's not you can't take your kids around it. So like for retired people, it's perfect because your kids are you didn't have them or they're grown and they're adults at this point. You don't need to cart them around.
Exactly. And when you've got a vehicle that has ample storage space, you throw in your luggage or whatever else you need for your little jaunt because it's just you and the other significant other. So
Hmm.
it's perfect for that. You're right.
All right. So and then like were people feeling good about the vehicle when you overheard the conversations? Did they like it or
Yeah, that's the great thing as a takeaway is that people were having fun. It was social, then that's a good thing too. I think that people that are on this early stage of trying to support this company are kind of in a community. And so it was very community driven. We're enjoying getting to know each other and talk. And then, of course, people were pretty critical about testing it thoroughly. They were, touching everything they could and trying everything out when they were in the seat. And for the most part, for all the overhearing I could get near, I think people were just really quite supportive and positive about it. I think the true comeback I get is just people are ready. Hopefully, they're hoping that the company will start continuing this momentum and see that this actually starts production in the near future.
okay. Anything that you learned when talking to Chris Anthony and the Aptera people that you didn't know before that you want to share with us?
Um, I trying to think of any big items. Mostly, I just know that they are in their stages still of doing some testing. They're looking forward to getting it to the place where they can start finalizing concept these things and getting to crash testing and stuff. So, they're trying to be optimistic, but hold the reins a little bit because they know customers are so excited. I don't see them beginning production in the next 6 months, et cetera. I think it's
Yeah.
still going to be a while, and we're just going to have to be patient.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Um, I think that this is one of those type of vehicles where even after you do start to get kind of interested in it, you still in the back of your mind kind of think, is this a vehicle that really America's ready for or society's ready for right now? Or even am I ready for, even though I've put down a reservation and seeing it in real life, sitting in it. I was able to watch some videos of the test drives.
Uh,
And it just makes me feel better and confirms that I think that it's not going to be a vehicle for everybody, but it is going to be a really smart vehicle and it's going to really help in many ways.
awesome. All right. Hey, Clint, again, thank you for going and for sharing your footage to the community, and thanks for taking your time to tell us about, your thoughts about this event.
Oh, you're welcome. I was glad to help you out. It was good talking with you, Steve.